So your therapist has this weird impulse to try and be nice to you, and that is not their job at all. If they're not a problem for you, they are not doing their job. So today I'm going to talk about why I don't necessarily need to like you and you don't necessarily need to like me. And that is a strange topic. And that's a strange opening. But we're going to go into it anyway because we're doing it. So the internet, YouTube, advertising, a lot of stuff that's trying to grab our attention, if not everything that's trying to grab our attention these days, make me sound old. Everything that's trying to grab your attention is trying to be really nice to you. Because if it hits you wrong, you will click off and you will find someone else that says it better, that doesn't have those bumps. Think of your financial advisor on YouTube or something like that. And they're just like, yes, go do this, go do that. Here's a stock to invest in. Here's another stock to invest in. Here's another one. Here's another one. Oh, you lost money on that one. You might start looking for another one where they get it all right the whole time. So that's like a financial thing. It's not different for psychology. It's not different for your vloggers. It's not different for the gamers. So they're all basically, there's a weird censorship or whatever that means instead of risking trying to be really charismatic, or instead of risking trying to be at the cutting edge of information or whatever, there is an incentive not to stretch that far and to play it a bit safe, because then they won't piss you off and then you won't click off and then they'll be able to keep you for longer. Now, that's kind of interesting on an internet level. If you go to a counselor or therapist, it's the exact same. The drop-off rate for therapy is ridiculous. So your therapist has this weird impulse to try and be nice to you, and that is not their job at all. If they're not a problem for you, they are not doing their job. And you should also be a problem for them, because they should be actively thinking about what's going on in your life. Or don't bring it home the whole time and all the rest. I don't want them losing sleep over it. But it should irk them a little bit. Because a problem is something to be overcome. It's kind of the definition of a problem. If you're not facing problems in therapy, what are you doing? Okay, let's stop being condescending. Basically, if there's not a problem, if there's no conflict, even a hint of conflict, if there isn't any of that, then all they're doing is motivating you. They are showing you new ways of doing stuff. It's all very positive, and there is totally a space for that. 100%. It's like kids are way easier motivated by rewards than they are by punishment. That's true. But let's go back 100 years or something like that, and just imagine our social life. We would have been in some town, maybe a city or something like that, but your social group was pretty concrete. You weren't as flexible, people didn't move around as much, and people didn't have as much access to as many people. So your social circle was kind of set. And if you rubbed up off someone the wrong way, you would know about it. Or you wouldn't, but you'd feel the consequences, and that was even worse. So you're better to know about it. And that led to why we were a bit more conservative and a bit more censorious and all the rest, because it was easier to play the game safe. So I'm not saying I want to go back there, but there is a virtue to having your weaknesses exploited and having your weaknesses shown to you. Maybe exploited is the wrong word, because I don't want you to be naively exploited. If you lose the game, I want you to know why you lost the game. There's no point in losing and never figuring out why. So if you rub someone up the wrong way because you are too nice, too mean, too talkative, too quiet, too spiritual, too conservative, whatever, you're too much of something, and you will always be too much of something to someone. To be aware of that is important. I'm some bit confrontational. I don't mind a debate. I kind of love a debate. I love having my perspective changed. I love when someone comes off with something that's like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. That's amazing. I love that stuff. But to someone who doesn't engage in debates or those types of conversations, that can seem confrontational and can seem somewhat aggressive. So when I'm talking to people, I'm not trying to change my personality, but I need to actively be aware of the fact that I'm a bit confrontational. So, lost the word for a sec. So either I have to soften my approach to certain people if I recognize that they are not competing with me at the level I'm competing with them, or I'm bullying over them, or it's turning into like a weird bullying thing, or it's the dynamic's weird. It doesn't feel right. They're not playing the game with me, and then you're just left being a bully, essentially. I either need to soften my approach to them and then talk to them at their level, or like somewhere in between, or I need to make attempts, or I need to encourage them to compete at my level, or to debate, encourage them to correct me, and that I don't take offense, or like to make the game okay and seem safe, or like whatever way. And by the way, I don't necessarily care if you're successful. Like I do, I want you to be successful in navigating social situations. But as long as you're aware, I'm kind of okay with it. As long as you're aware and you're trying to learn. If you are totally unaware of a social flaw or a flaw of any type that you have, that's naivety, and that is a massive weakness. You're going to be blindsided, basically. So, to mend that, to correct for that, you need to have people in your life that can say the hard truths, say the things. Excuse me. Why do I burp every video? I don't know. It's a weird thing. Kind of. Anyway, sorry. You need to have people around you that tell you where you're weak. You need to have some sort of language where they can tell you, and it's still meant in love. I do not mean that you stick around with people who just bully you and say, oh, you'll never do that, or man, maybe if you were someone else you could do that, or if you're more of a man, or if you were prettier, or if you were whatever, and they're being an ass, basically. But there's a way of correcting you. There is a way of telling you flaws that you have that still comes from a place of love, that comes from a place of, hey, I'm not leaving you. I'm not tossing you aside. I'm kind of stuck with you. And because of that, because I'm stuck with you, I want you to be as strong as possible. And therefore, this bit of weakness is kind of pissing me off. Because if I'm 40 and I'm still looking at you, complaining about your love life, but not going out and finding anyone. You need to socialize if you want to meet someone. Or complaining that you're bored, but never picking up a hobby. Or being confrontational and bullying over people, and therefore whatever the flaw is, there's definitely a way of saying it that comes from a place of love. So I'm specifically on about that, not the guys that say it out of meanness, and maybe they're not even being mean, but maybe you haven't agreed on the language to use to make it okay. Maybe you haven't had the talk. Have a talk with the friend. Have a talk with your therapist. And just be like, every time you use this particular word, it pisses me off to no end. So I say confrontational. Someone else might say aggressive. And I might take problem with that. It's like, I'm not being aggressive. I just want to talk and have a debate. Yeah, but you're being aggressive. It's like, it's not I might become defensive about that. I'm not, but like, I can see how someone might. Because being confrontational and being aggressive are two different things. Confrontational is not walking away from a fight. Aggressive is looking for a fight. So I might take a point on that language, or I might take insult to that language if someone decides to use it. Figure that out. Find out a language that you're okay with, and you can take hits. You can take the hard truths. Navigate that. So, okay, for me on a video, it's going to be really hard. Like, it's going to be really hard for us to have that dialogue. It's just that the medium doesn't necessarily allow for it. because the video is already up and I'm not going to revisit the topic for another year. And then if I remember the critique, maybe I'll remember. But this isn't about me. This is definitely about your friends. 100% sure about your family, because God knows parents are going to correct you, and whatever way they correct you, it bugs the shit out of you. That just seems to be a universal truth for every child, no matter what age you are. And it's really true if you're going for therapy or counselling. Don't ask them to be nice. Ask them to be harsh in a loving manner. Ask them to be truthful. Ask them to actually help. So that's it. I will also say, if you agree with someone like on 90% of stuff, like and you disagree once on one topic, just allow them to disagree. I'm for capitalism, I'm for communism. Okay, grand. There's a ton of life outside of that. I'm really big into fighting, and I hate aggression. Grand. If you cannot talk because of such things, you need to read a book. You need to watch an interesting documentary. You need to get out of whatever vacuum you're in, basically. That's a side note. That wasn't the lesson of today. The lesson of today is have people around you that are truthful, that prioritize truth over your immediate happiness, that are willing to upset you short term so that you can be happier and stronger long term. That's the message for today. So that is it for today. That's it finally. I'll see you again on Friday, I believe. I'm going to have another one up. So yeah, I'll see you Friday, guys. Bye.